Hello everyone. So I've got this problem, this issue that I'm looking for help with, and hopefully maybe someone can figure out or pick out something that's going on wrong. Right now with my overhead here, I have my power supply hooked up to equipment supply alternate. So for instance, when I switch on equipment supply cooling to alternate, this activates my power supply here, and also activates the relay, which has a gate going to it for AC power. So back around to the front. Now, as you can see, ProSim has picked up the Ethernet cards, so it's quite all right now to flip on battery power, and that'll bring up pretty much basically bring up the DC power supply, except the one issue: it also turns on these digits. And these digits for flight altitude and land altitude shouldn't be coming on until ground power is available, or switched on rather. I have ground power available at the moment, as you can see by the blue light. However, these should not be activated, and if you watch, I can turn the encoders in, and there's no action on the numericals. But the issue here is that these shouldn't be on until I actually switch the ground power on. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll switch on ground power, and you're going to see that the backlighting is going to activate, because by switching this ground power toggle, it's going to activate the AC power gate. So here we go, and as you can see, that all throughout the cockpit, the CP flight gear backlight and the backlighting for the gauges and for the panels is all illuminated. And now if we take a closer look at the numericals, now I'll actually be able to change the digits, like so, as necessary. So the digits are now working with ground power, but the problem is that I'm having is that they shouldn't be illuminated until I actually turn on the ground power. So here we go. We're going to shut things down, and so we're going to call the ground to turn off, to unplug ground power, and we'll see the ground power light go out when they've unplugged, like so. They've just unplugged, so backlighting has gone out everywhere. I notice the radio digits and the MCP digits stay on, but I believe that's a normal part of the DC bus. But where the problem lies again, as you can see, these digits didn't go out. And when I switched off, when the ground power went out, these digits should have went out. And as you can see, they don't work anymore because the ground power's off. But these shouldn't be lit anymore. So we'll take this one step further, and we'll switch off battery power. So off with the battery power. Now the overhead is dead, everything's dead, there's no power in the cockpit. But the problem is, we still have these lit, and they should be out. They should have been out a long time ago, actually. So I don't know what's going on here with this. Now we'll just go over to ProSim configuration, and let's see here. I hope we can see this. But we're going to go into configuration, combine configuration, and we're going to go over to, we'll start with the pneumatics, because this is where all this stuff is, in the pneumatics area. So let's up pneumatics, and we'll go to encoders. So as you can see here, we've got flight altitude in encoder and land altitude in encoder, and they're both on Pokies 25741, which is Pokies Ethernet 5 in this case, and I've got them set to the flight altitude encoder set to encoder 2 times on pin 1 and 2, and the land altitude in encoder is set to encoder 2 times on pin 3 and 4. So I think that's right. So now when we go to, I don't think the gate for this is in a different area, but no gate for this one. So now when we go to electric, I believe it is, go to numerical. Am I in the right area? Oh no, I'm very sorry. I'm in the wrong area. Not electrical. We stay in pneumatic. We go to numerical in pneumatic. And they've changed it for some reason. Now instead of flight altitude, it becomes cruise altitude, which when they change things like that, it kind of makes it a little more confusing. But anyway, the Pokies is right, 25741, and over here we got 7-segment expansion board 1, digit 5. So there's 5 digits. So, and it's from my best of my knowledge, is expansion board 1. That's what shows up on the search. For land altitude, same thing, Pokies 25741, and 7-segment expansion board 2, digit 5. So a total of 10 digits. So other than that, I don't believe I have any gates attached to this. That's for the starter solenoids. And yeah. So, okay, so back to the overhead. Of course, when I switch off equipment supply alternate, that's going to douse the numbers. As you can see, everything's out. Now, here's something that's really bothering me as well. I thought I could change this over to a different starting bus and control it that way. But my first step was to undo these 2 5-volt wires, which power up the 2 7-segment display cards that you can see. There's one where my finger is here, and another one tucked away down in there. Those are the 7-segment display driver cards that go into Pokies Ethernet 25741 right here, and they use ports 1 to 4, and designated by these 4 mauve wires, mauve colored wires. So each card drives 5 digits, I guess it is, something like that. But so when I unplug this, to be careful here, I don't short. Sticker in there. So now I've unplugged these 2 7-segment cards, and this is what is really driving me up the wall here. So back to our sequence. Turning on the power supply. Now we need to give it a few seconds for ProSim to pick up the cards. Usually I have a switch, but it's attached to a computer that's sleeping right now. And when the ProSim picks up the cards, which you'll see them pick up in a moment, that switch will make a thwack. Theirs just picked up all my overhead cards, all the pokies, Ethernets. So that means it's safe to turn on battery power, because ProSim will have no trouble configuring everything now. And so switching on battery power, everything is, well, it's normal as far as, well, not quite normal. I see a couple of anomalies there, but it looks normal enough for this video. Anyway, I'm just not sure about why these two enunciators are not lit. And I see another one down here, so something didn't get quite picked up. There's something afoul here. I'm not sure what it is, but anyway, that's not what we're after right now. We're after these landing and flight altitude digits. So we're going to call for ground power. As I say, there's no sound because sound is for the overhead is linked to cockpit 3, and cockpit 3 computer is sleeping right now. So I just want to point out something really strange that's happening here. That's one thing that's happening, is that some of the digits aren't lit correctly by undoing that 5-volt line that goes to the 7-segment cards. So there we go. We have ground power, so we'll switch on ground power, and the gauges came alive, but as you can see, no backlighting. And of course, these are dead because I've removed the power to them. So why does removing the power to these two 7-segment displays affect the backlighting? And why does it affect some of the other enunciators that aren't lighting correctly? So anyway, I guess I'll make this video just a wee bit longer. We'll go back through we're going to turn off the ground power, turn off the battery power, and kill the power supply. There. We're back to 0 power. And we'll just give ProSim a chance to drop the Ethernets cards. Well, they're going to drop out in a second. There they go. So now we'll plug those two 7-segment display cards back in, and I'm thinking that I must have something wired wrong somewhere. But anyway, here we go again. Power supply on. We'll give ProSim a minute to pick up the Ethernet cards. This has to be done. If I turn on the battery switch before the Ethernet cards get picked up, there's a different scramble on every load of the interface of the overhead. Pardon me. Scattered amounts of it's a dog's breakfast. There's no rhyme or reason to it, but now it'll be fine. And as you can see, all the enunciators have lit up correctly when battery switched on. They're all out. Remember, these two were out. They're all on. These two were out before. One of these was out. These two were out, of course. So I don't know how these are connected, but now if you watch, I'll call for ground power again, and you're going to see that the backlighting is going to work fine again. So somehow the power to these 7-segment displays are somehow disrupting everything, and I guess I really got to find out what's going on before I mount this in my shell. So I know this video is getting a bit long, but It's going to be over in just a minute. It won't be much longer. I just want to click on the backlighting. Sometimes it takes a moment or two, a minute or two for that backlighting to come on, for ground power to become available, pardon me. And it should be any second now. Did my message get through, I wonder? I'll give her another press, because usually it's on before now. There we go. It's kind of a nice setup. I can do everything, power up everything just pretty much from my captain's chair now, although us being occupied by the co-pilot, and she looks like she's not going to be moving anytime soon. And I still don't have ground power, so what's going on here? Yeah, it's a good life for some of us. And there we go. There's our ground power finally come alive. I don't know, the guys must have been having coffee. So we flip that on, and as you can see, backlighting has come alive on the overhead, and everything is normal. Backlighting on the CP flight gear, and yeah, digits are working fine. So I don't know what I got done wrong, and I'd really love to find out, because apart from the start switches, this is the only thing that's not working quite right. So yeah, and that with that, I'm just going to shut down the overhead again, and ground power off, battery power off, and power supply off. You notice that that's not quite right using the equipment supply alternate toggle, but I don't use that toggle for anything anyway. I've flown so many flights and never used that, so I thought, why not use that for turning on the power supply, because I had originally turned on the power supply with the battery switch. When I turned the battery switch to on, it would turn on the power supply, and then a few seconds, 5 seconds later, my Ethernet cards would all come alive, and I guess ProSim just couldn't, it just can't handle all that stuff happening. And like I said, the results of that was different every time. Every time I switched on the overhead, it was a different dog's breakfast. There was lights here, lights out there, lights on here, and every time different. So with this way, using the equipment cooling supply toggle, it gives a chance for ProSim to pick up and sort out the Ethernet cards, and then I can turn on the battery switch, and every time, with great reliability, the overhead's going to come to life normally. So again, that's it for this video. I know it's a long one, and I sure hope that somebody can help me figure out these flight and land altitude digits phenomena. Thanks for watching.